Welcome to the Tunepact Podcast. I'm your host, the punk rock pop, Lee Pierce. And today we're talking about creative networking with Benny Capaul from The Boy Detective. Benny, thanks for joining us. Could you do me a favor and tell everybody a bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak on this. This is wonderful. This is a great experience. So my name is Benny Capaul. I am the lead singer, or as I like to put it, the lead detective of The Boy Detective. The Boy Detective is a ska punk hardcore band out of basically Southeast Michigan. We are literally formed in Ida, Michigan, but we say Southeast Michigan. And we've been playing now. The band started in 2017, but we started playing shows just about COVID time. So, of course, we had to take a little breather and couldn't actually do a lot of shows when we first started. On top of that, is it okay if I keep going, Lee?
Oh, keep going.
Okay. On top of that, I am a fourth-generation funeral director out of Ida, Michigan. That means I am a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Michigan. I also have certifications in death doula, and I am a death consultant. While I'm also doing all this, because I'm crazy, I decided to go back to school to get my social worker's license so I can practice therapy specializing in grief, loss, suicidality, and addiction. I am a happily married man of 12 years, high school sweetheart, and I have two beautiful children and a partridge in a pear tree.
Well, that's a lot, and hopefully you're the only embalmer I've had on the show because I don't believe anybody else was licensed to do so.
Oh, so I'm the first.
Yeah, I hope so.
Inaugural.
I really hope so.
I'm the inaugural embalmer on the show. That's
all
awesome.
right. Well, Benny, the reason I had you on for this topic, you actually suggested it. I was excited about that because usually I'll find a good band or artist that they're awesome, they're good on the mic, they're good with their fans, and I want to have them on the show. So I try to find something they really excel at when it comes to market. You saw the amount of homework I do when it comes to an episode.
Lee, I can't even imagine.
I can't help it. So when you came to the idea about the networking, I didn't even know some of the stuff that you told me about. So why don't you start with giving me some example of creative? You know exactly what creative networking I'm talking about. Why don't you give me an example?
So I was very humble and honored ever since I was in grade school. We were picked for these like leadership conferences, and there's something about my personality that sticks out in those kind of situations. So I've had multiple leadership little graduations through academies and what I found was so interesting about a lot of the other colleagues that were in these leadership things was they were doing what was kind of expected to be a leader instead of like thinking outside the box. So even when I have a twin brother, he is the bassist and singer in Dad's on Couches, and I don't know if we'll get to that, but anyways, him and I both were very outside the box thinkers. In fact, when there was a local water park that opened and we both applied, and we both became supervisors, even though we never were lifeguards before, never knew anything about lifeguarding or aquatics. But what happened was when we got the job offers, our bosses at the time were like, you were the only two that would like think outside the box. For instance, like they had this, like they made us do these games. And like one of them was you had to take these, I don't know if you ever seen those like lifeguard buoy things that lifeguards carry. They like always have it on their chest, you know. And they would make us walk. Can you hear me? Is this going out? Okay.
You're good.
So they make me walk from one side of the room to another with those buoys. Well, instead of that, I just took off the covers of the buoys and put them on my legs and just ran across. You know, it's just like these outside, because the thing is like when I notice about the music profession, specifically when you're trying to be seen, there is 1,000 other bands doing exactly the same 1,000 things you're doing. So what I realized is you have to make yourself stand out. The tricky part, Lee, is I'm sure you've seen this too. Some bands do it and it doesn't work out for them. You know, they do something that sticks out that doesn't feel right to the listener. It doesn't get the point across. But there's some people that just get lucky enough to do something that's very different, right? So like I'll give you some extreme situations.
It's one of those, you need the right amount of awkward.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, so you got
the
like,
right amount.
so you got like the Aquabats, right? Here's a perfect example. Like they not only did something amazing, but they stuck with it to the point where it's not a bit anymore. It's who they are, right? But they had to kind of, a lot of their first kind of acknowledgement was because of the bit, right? I always think of like Masked Intruder is another one, another great example of this. Like they do something that's really they have characters and they have their own names and own colors. And as a listener, if you fall in love with them because you fall in love with the story, you want to be part of them. Like, you know what I mean? I remember going to see Masked Intruder and there was other people wearing masks in colors, like the Converse colors, because it's like something you could be a part of, right? The Ramones did it. They did an easy way, like, oh, we could dress really crazy, but let's do something that most kids can afford. Everybody can afford a ripped pair of jeans and a leather jacket, maybe. But you know what I mean? Like it's an easy costume to be part of something. And so I always was fascinated about that. Me and my brothers were always in theater too, Lee. So the most big you can be, and that was a big thing in leadership that I found out, right? So they would literally teach you when you're doing presentations and stuff, make yourself bigger than you actually are. So like make your hands bigger, or when you're talking, like make yourself feel bigger in the room because it draws more attention to you. So I'm sure we're going to talk about my how I do my live shows, but the most important thing that I learned was, okay, it finally got to the point where Nick and I, who have been writing music for a very, very long time, 20 years at this point, decided that, okay, there is actually something to this. Like, these songs are good, and we've wrote good songs before, but these songs are actually like, man, if I was 19, 20 listening to this, I would want to be a part of this band. And so the next part, of course, is how do you get your songs out there? And then how do you play shows? How do you get on big shows with, for us, it's like Jay Navarro, right? Suicide Machines. Or all those like bigger bands, Coffin Cats. I know you had them on. Like, how do you get to them? Like, and so I've been always under the impression that, you know what? Why am I thinking about this? I'm just going to reach out to them. Because the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no. But what I found was the more that I asked, the more that it was easier to ask. And then on top of that, when you practice something more and more, and when you do something more and more, it comes across so much more genuine. And then, so what I was finding was I wasn't getting no. What I was getting, if I was getting anything, was a yes, or we'll make it happen if we can, or here's the person you need to reach out to. So then in my brain, I was already like categorizing, like I always think of like, did you ever watch that Dreamcatcher movie? Stephen King had a book called Dreamcatcher, where he has like the library in his head. You know what I mean?
Yes, that is what I hate that movie, but it's one of my favorite scenes
I love it.
of any movie because that is how my brain works.
That's how my brain works.
100% know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. I remember in high school, they would give you those like handbooks. I couldn't do that. I could not, I will not write down a schedule. So that's when the band, because there's 7 of us, asked to start doing like Google calendars and stuff, like I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. So literally I tell other bandmates to put my dates in so I don't have to do it. But I can remember something. So like you told me the date, my brain remembers it to the point where here's the crazy part, Lee. If I forget, something will happen, an alarm will go off a couple days before and be like, wait, weren't you supposed to be on a podcast with Lee? And then literally I will then look and find that date. It's so weird. I'm very lucky to have that kind of a brain. But also what I also found too is you got to be on your toes. So a lot of the things in the music is very like you either do it now or you don't do it. You know, you have all those bands that will say like, oh, we're sitting on the song for 10 years. In my brain, it's like, why are you sitting on a song for 10 years? Put it out. What's the worst that's going to happen? Nobody's going to like it? Guess what? You can write 10 more songs by the time you would have released that song. Now, I'm not calling out any band that has kept songs and they've ended up being great. You know, this is just my brain. My subjectivity is like, you got to do it now because there's no guarantee you are going to be able to do this in 10 years. There's no guarantee that the people that you're writing this beautiful music with are going to be with you. They have lives. They have things going on. So my brain just goes off. So like whenever like a problem comes up in our band, my brain is already saying, what's 3 things that we can correct that problem with somewhere else? three other bands that I could reach out to or three other venues that I can find out. But it partially, this is the main key to this, Lee, is confidence. Now, I don't know who the hell gave me this bottle of confidence years ago, but for some reason it's lasting. And what I found was my confidence is helping other people out. It's helping my band get shows. It's helping the fans get shows that they want. I struggled with the ego side of that, right? The idea that, like, I have this power, and am I abusing this power? But the real honesty is those are the kind of things that, like, hold you back from doing things, right? I mean, people want to hear you. If you have a good band, people want to hear you. So by you, the problem that I have, Lee, more than anything with this whole networking situation, I'm sure I have annoyed certain people. But then finding out later, I don't know if annoying is necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad trait. I've had a lot of, like, more wiser people in the profession say, no, Ben, you have a passion to do something, and people see that. Now, a lot of the times you give these grandiose ideas that we can't fulfill, but at the end of the day, like, how do you know that grandiose, that one time? So, like, you might try that 10 times, Ben, and it may not work 9 of them. But that one time is all you need to go up to the next tier, right? Then you're talking to other bandmates. Then, because, like, what I'm finding is it's its own language. Like, when you get higher in the music industry, when you get higher in the profession, you have to talk a certain way. You have to use certain words. Like, when I started, it was like, hey, can we get on your show? Now it's, hey, can we support your show, right? This idea that when you say words like support, you're not saying, I want to open your show. You're saying, I want to be the next band after you play. And, like, the people that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, they don't think anything of it. So when you ask to play a show, you might be actually selling yourself short by saying, can I be on your show? By just an easy word, just putting support. I'd love to be the support on your show coming up. And then the other thing that I learned too, because I haven't won a lot of these battles, Lee. That's the other thing too. I want to say, if you go out and you take all these chances, you're going to lose a lot of them. But it's not. But what I've learned is it's not really a loss, because you can't make me believe a lot of those people aren't remembering that. Specifically, if you reach out to them in a very different way, which I always do, because I want people to remember, like, even if it's a no, man, I want to get that kid on a show, or I want to get, like, this person is going out of his way to not use ChatGPT. I'm going to be honest with you guys. My grammar is horrid. But, honestly, what I've realized, this is helping. All of us everybody that's horrible grammar, it's helping, because people now don't want to see ChatGPT a lot. So when they see that you mispronounce things, they're like, oh, this is a real person. This is an actual real person. So this goes to a lot of things, but the big things is to always take the chances, reach out to as many people as you can find, and start making yourself literally, like, what was the Rolodex, right? Going back to Lee, that thing in the head. That's what I have. I have a bunch of those. Those, like, I might not remember the actual number, but I'll remember the name and who to contact on certain things.
Yeah, exactly. See, well, that's how where I am today, the career I have today, because I've always been the middleman. I was the line that connected the dots. I didn't have the band. All my friends had the bands. I knew the venues. I knew who put on the events. So I knew the sound guys. I knew all the band members and all the local bands. So I was always like, hey, you need something, that I was the guy that you would go to. And the way I got doing that was, I've always been the king of cold calls. Me and my wife have put on some of just the most spectacular charity events for people, and very successful ones, because what do you got to lose?
Nothing.
Whether I put on just a regular show or I put on a charity event, just call somebody. Just what I've found is key is, don't be afraid to call, and you know me, do your homework first, though.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're as valuable to them as they are to you. Because you don't want to come in asking for something, and you don't want to start the relationship owing somebody something.
Right.
Try to come in as equal as possible, even if it feels like you're stretching, like, like you're trying to get into, say, something as big as Spin or Rolling Stone. How do you approach them and not sound conceited, but still feel like you're offering them something too? There are ways to do it, though, and it's about selling yourself and knowing those connections where it's like, hey, I saw that you're looking for whatever. I know a guy. Can we talk? And so it's being planned. And like you were talking with, it leads right into the marketing side of it too, because networking is part of marketing and vice versa. And if you plan for that during the creative process, it's no longer a chore when it comes time for the actual marketing of the product, whether it's a new single, a new album, painting, film, whatever the artist is doing. So if you're able to plan for that and work and think about that during the creative process, now it can be just as creative as the project itself. And now it's going to be easier for you to make those connections because you've got a creative product, you've got a creative idea. So when you go to make these connections, you're standing out, but in a good way. It's a well thought out way. So it's going to get that attention, like what you did to get on a record label. Why don't you tell everybody a bit about that?
Okay, so this is going to make my guitarist probably blush and get upset a little bit because he doesn't understand why I do this. So we are the Boy Detective. I love the bit. I love the idea that we are solving cases, or we are, have a logo with a detective on it or something. Like, I love it. I love every second about it. I think it's a really cool name. And why aren't you using what your name is? So when the music was starting to get good, we finally had an album out. At this point, it was Banned from the Bathtub, and it was doing good by itself. Like, we didn't have a lot of marketing. We didn't know how to really market. So it was just putting it up, and it was getting to the point where I remember playing a show, and this wonderful woman walked up to me and was like, hey, I just want you to know that I was in a cornfield in the middle of nowhere, and we were listening to Band from the Bathtub, and we thought it was the greatest album from around here. And I just thought that was the coolest thing somebody could tell a young guy from Ida, Michigan, because my community has always been more country based or metal. Like, that was always the two things. So I was always in punk bands, and my community loves me and loves my family and what we do. They don't necessarily like the music that I've been doing, but they somehow still support it. But you could tell, like, they're like, this is too much for me. So it was nice to hear that the community exists, right? If you have any music that you write, there are people that will like it, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I remember we played with a band from Detroit back when we were first starting, and it was a ska punk band, really. Their name was Pedestrian Takedown, and their shtick was they would come and they wouldn't even like tune their guitars, and they would just play. And there was something about it that was so charismatic to young punks. You know what I mean? Like, wow, like they don't even give a shit how they sound. It's this idea that if you're
such a great gimmick to cover up bad musicianship, wild. Even like it's brilliant.
It was wild, and it was so cool because they were like that. They were big fans of like Choking Victims and all this stuff, and they just believed that like the message was the most important thing, and the theatrics. Like, I remember they coming in, and I would set up all the shows, Lee, and they came up and like, listen, can we put 2 buckets in front and literally take shits in it during our set? And I was like, please don't. Like, please don't. But like at the end of the day, I was like, man, I was holding back from some creativity, artistry, right? But at the same time, like, hey, for them, that may get them noticed, and that's taking a step, right? It's doing something that's different. Me personally, I wouldn't like that. I'm not a big fan of that, but that doesn't, just because I don't like it doesn't mean somebody else doesn't like it, I mean, Iggy Pop, right? We could talk about that all day. Like
Iggy or Gigi.
Gigi or Gigi Allen. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Thank you. And it's like they were doing this stuff way, way, way back then, And so anyway, we realized that maybe we needed to start sending our stuff up to labels. Not really expecting anything back, but at least like a conversation. So I came up with this whole story about how it's this detective and he's looking for the right record label, and he's really just trying to solve this case because he would hate that this band would become a cold case. And so I sent it out to, I mean, that's a very short story of all it is, but I sent it out to, a lot of what we thought would be good places for the boy detective. And because I shot high a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I sent some to some really high stuff back then. Because you never know, right? Who knows? Take your shot. So one I did get back, because I did get like 2 or 3 back, but the other 2 were like, hey, so sorry, but right now is not a good time. We're basically about, and see, this is the learning curve. When they start saying stuff like, oh, we're 2 years out before we're releasing records. It's like, whoa, so you're saying that even though we're going to have a record here in 2 months or 3 months, we have to wait on it for 2 years? Going back to what I said, Lee, like, now is the time, right? Time's now. So
I need dopamine now.
Yeah,
that's not going to help me
to wait
for
2 years from now.
No,
who even knows if people
not.
And so I was like, well, thank you, yet again, as a detective, being like, you know what, I understand, it's been a lot of years on the force for me too, and I get like, sometimes you got to just hold up. I was saying all this stuff to all these people, and I'm going to be honest, and here we go. You know what, Lee? There is another person that is exactly like you, and that is Brandon. And so Brandon said, Benny, I'm going to be honest with you right now. If you didn't write that way, that day, that specific hour, I would have never even came across it. Because he's like, you got to understand, us labels get countless and countless and countless and countless of artists trying to get, and there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, there's probably some diamonds in the rough that all labels just don't get the time to look into, or don't have the catalog open for them, or don't have the spot or whatever. And so he's like, I remember reading your subject line, because not only was the actual email, but the subject line too was, I think, a case. It was like case 1311.
Yeah, case study,
11,
something.
Punkerton accepting. And I would make it, that was the other thing I learned in leadership. Make it so they're a part of it. So it was Punkerton's greatest new band or something, or Punkerton signs the boy detective, right? So it's putting his brand, his beautiful brand, in the name already. So it's associating the two words. I'm not stupid. So anyways, but I was like, who knows if he'll read it. And so not only do I get an email back from Brandon, but Brandon doesn't answer the question. He has a whole thing going on with the story. So he goes on that like, oh man, it's, I don't remember the exact words. I know, Lee, you probably have it. But he was basically like, he was playing with it was a storyline going on. And then literally, because he's an artist, because he's a graphic artist, he literally put a telephone booth with a knife in a piece of paper that says, we need to talk. And so there was part of me that's like, I kind of don't want to talk to him yet. I kind of want to have the story go. I want the story to be like a 10-pager. But I didn't. I did. I actually did say, hey, we should talk. And then we talked, and he listened to Band from the Bathtub, and thank God that we had an astronaut song, because he fell in love with that right away. To this day, he gets mad if we don't play it when he's at our show. And it's a great song, don't get me wrong. But it was just this idea that I took a shot, and I'm sure some of those record companies would probably read that and be like, I want nothing to do with this. This is too much.
That's good, though. That's good. You use it as a litmus test, because if they don't get you, that's probably not who you want to be with anyways, no matter what the status or, they're a bigger label. But if they're going to make you not going to get you, that's just bad right from the start. But
I would love to be a fly on the wall, Lee, when some of these labels are seeing our names start shooting off at other things, and they're like, crap, that was that guy. I probably still, they're going back.
I guarantee you they still remember your name.
They probably kept the email. We were probably on hey, we'll maybe get back to this later. We'll maybe give this guy a shot. Or, the other thing too is, just because they don't, because what I will say, what bothers me, Lee, about the music profession, I don't like that they don't answer. If you're going to answer. Like, even if it's no, we're not interested, cool, I can move on. I just hate not knowing if, did they actually get it? You know what I mean? Did they actually receive it? Because we all have done that, right? I've put a wrong letter in the email, because that's the other thing too. I don't want to send the same thing and they'd be like, okay, we got it. We got you the first time. You know what I mean? But like,
you don't want to type something completely new and have it be redundant, or they only get the second part of it and it gets thrown away because they didn't catch the first part.
We like part one better than part two, so you know what? You're done. So no, I just wish you'd get a response. Like, and that's something that I have tried countlessly, and I've said to my band is like, I don't care if we can't do a show, but we're going to at least respond to them. You know, like, thank you so much. Sorry, we can't do it. Like, even that to me is more respectful than not saying anything. And don't get me wrong. Going back to what Brandon and other labels deal with, like, I understand they personally can't do it because they don't have enough time in the world. But maybe just, I don't know, have like an email
I think it's just everyone nowadays. So I have to show you the amount of left unread messages and emails that I've sent out trying to get guests on my show.
Oh, that's the worst.
40, 50 probably. And then some of you'll get the automatic response, hey, thanks, we'll get back to you. So now you don't know if anyone will ever read it. So you're like, it's just everybody, because I've artists, producers, management companies. It's everybody, I think, nowadays. It's just so weird. I wish you, especially like, I use Messenger a lot and stuff, or on Instagram, because a lot of these artists you can't find an email because they don't have a website. They just run out their social media, and you can see they read it. Man, being left on read as a damn grown ass man professional is just so. It's still heartbreaking.
It's a taste in your mouth that stays. It stays in your mouth. You know. We can go on all day about that for sure. But I will say this. I am going to do my darndest, Lee, if ever someday I become something, hold me responsible for making sure to. So if someone ever, emails you, Lee, and is like, listen, I have been trying to get a hold of Benny Capaul, and he left me on red. You can feel free to call me and just up the wall.
Check out the podcast. The episode number is blank. It was released on this day. You got him. I got it all on video.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so true. And I get it. There is part of me too, that, like when you grow up listening to these bands, right? Because here's a perfect another example of what I just have the guts to do, I guess. I don't know. I wanted our album to be done by Roger from Less Than Jake. I really liked what he did with Joker's Republic's first album. And with horns, it is a different recording. A lot of recorders out there are wonderful, but they've never worked with horns. So, I'm dealing with, musicians that are literal horn majors. They know how they want their horns to sound, and they're coming into a, Nick and I, who are like, oh, we want our album to be raw and rough and hard to bluff. We want that like old gritty, Destruction by Definition. Like, literally every day I say this. Like, if I could have my album sound like that, I would. But some people would be like, that's really dirty compared to like the new style of punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yet again, that's just, and obviously they don't have the same recording, like instrumentation to be able to do some of that stuff, right? But like, I wanted Roger because they all liked what they did, what Roger has done with Less Than Jake. Let's just be honest. He's recorded a ton of their stuff, and their stuff is wonderful. So he knows what he's doing. On top of that, but I was like, he's in Florida. He's in Less Than Jake. Is like, if I even send him a message, even though I'm, in the label now at this point at Punkerton, like, is he gonna actually like reach out? Is he gonna say anything? So Roger, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for not leaving me on red. Thank you so much for actually communicating with me. And he was wonderful. And it was such an opportunity, right? But then also it's like the same problem I had the first time I met Jay, or the same time I'm meeting like all these musicians that I literally listened to rollerblading in my parking lot at the funeral home when I was young. It's hard to talk to them. Like, it's easier for me to actually communicate with them online or on a phone, but like, I'm stepping into his moat house, his recording, and it's like, it's like the Will Ferrell, like, what am I supposed to do with my hands? Like, so it's like, there's also like, because you're right, because you can't, what I learned is you can't always come in from a humble side too, but you can't come in from an ego side. So you have to figure out what that like we're like, a lot of them were like, you need to start talking like we're colleagues and we're not your bosses anymore. But they're like, okay, that's easy for you to say coming from somebody who's been in this, but they were told that from their, from their people that they met that they were so excited to meet. But it is hardly like, it's hard. It's hard not to be starstruck, with these people. And yes, they're people, they're individuals. They have problems. They still poop. They put on their. I get it. I absolutely do. But it doesn't change the fact that their album is literally still somewhere in my like catalog of CDs that I ripped all those years back. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So to anybody listening out there that is like starting a band or wants to do, because Lee, you're just as a part of the music scene as we who are writing the music. And that's the other thing too. Like, I remember Brandon having a very long conversation with me about how I'm not a musician. I don't know the first thing about that, but I know how to like present musicians. And I'm like, that's a talent in itself, because I don't even think musicians know how to present themselves half the time, And well, and Lee, the biggest problem.
You're 100% right. That's why I have the jobs I have. It's 100%. That's my job description. It's helping you guys figure out what it is.
you're like, and I mean this in all the best ways, but you are like the biggest cheerleaders for musicians. And like, the thing about it is it hurts my soul when I see musicians either shit on their fans or shit on the people that got them where they are, or forget where they came from. Like, it is. And I can understand when you've been touring 30 years, it probably does get a little disenfranchising. It probably does. How many things do you have to sign before you start losing the magic of that? How many times? I remember when I got the first test pressing of Exhibition, I was floored, Lee. I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that not only would I have a record, but it could be in a store in Texas. It could be in a CD being bought in Japan. Like, that's wild to me. Like, some kid right now might be listening to Exhibition and maybe starting a band. And who knows, 20 years from now, when I'm maybe doing this, maybe not doing this, some kid comes in and is like, hey, I started a punk band, and there was this band back in the 2020s that called The Boy Detective, and I really liked Scabies, and now we're going to cover it. And I'd be like, Nick, it happened. We're the cool people now. And they wouldn't know who we are, right? But I think at the end of the day, Lee, it is this idea that everybody can do that. Everybody can keep taking shots. Everybody can. And I am the biggest proponent of somebody who wants to do something. Do it. Like, you have it. There's yes, I know some people have like a natural ability to talk, or a natural ability but there's also a lot of musicians out there that don't know. They're lucky to be in the positions they are because they didn't take all these shots. It happens. There is that 10% chance that you have just one song that just really takes off, and then you basically are coasting. But for the most part, if you talk to most bands, they had to start from the bottom. They had to do your book your own damn tours. They got the book, and they called all those people and set up all those tours. Like, in some ways, as much as like Spotify's and all that of the world has taken away from some of the music scene, it has really helped some musicians get their music out there. So take advantage of it. Like, the only thing that is really so toughly, and people don't understand, and I tell this to every young band that I talk to, you can be the greatest musicians. You can have the greatest songs, but if you don't know how to actually sell your band, you're going nowhere. You're going absolutely nowhere. Because that's the thing. Like, people want to feel a part of something. And if you're just trying to shove stuff down their throats or their ears, they're going to listen to it. And maybe they may be like, that's a really good song. But people want more. They want to experience. And so you have to find a way to make your band relevant to a very ADHD-prone society.
For sure. Well, and just FYI, when back in April, I think, when I got my copy exhibition, I put my record player's hooked through an old 4-channel PA with big speakers about this tall,
yeah.
and I played scabies like on full volume. So my neighbors did hear scabies, and a couple months later, they did start a band. I don't know if it's related, but I know a PR guy. We could spin this if you want to.
Oh my gosh, they should be the first. Though there's a joke, there's an awesome family, Jess Grossman and her son Ox and Christian. I don't know if you come across them lately, but they're awesome. They're part of Skagazine, and their son Ox will just, man, talk about guts. He'll just if he knows you and he likes you, he'll just come up and grab your mic and then take it, and he'll just run around singing my songs. And it is absolutely wonderful. It's a little frustrating at times. I love Yax, but it's a little frustrating. But I understand and I get it. But it's like he's already doing it. He already has that skill, and he doesn't even know he has that skill. And that's Lee. This is what it's all about, right? Like all those musicians that are maybe doing it or maybe aren't doing it. Like, look at us young musicians, and I know I'm not young. I'm younger, but I'm not young. But it's because of you that we do it, right? And I hope the next generation of musicians, maybe they have the book about networking by Lee and Benny, and maybe we give it out to them, right? And do all these silly things that Benny says, and then Lee's going to give you the reason why those work. he's gonna actually give you the actual diagnostic why that works. I don't know.
Am I the translator?
Yes.
Musician to English translator.
Yes. This is why that works. What he's doing is he's putting himself out there to make himself look different, but he's also selling his band as a actual unit and as an identity. Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of what I do. Everybody in my house, they call me the neurodivergent wrangler. It's just my job to keep everybody from being just squirrels climbing all over the house and keeping everything organized and just running like a Swiss watch.
It's a hard job, Lee, but someone's got to do it.
It's fun. I wouldn't have it any other way. So
you've never played any instruments? Just
believe it or not, I did play guitar for a little while. Had some hand surgeries and stuff, but no, the bands I was in back in the day were punk grass bands, and I played an electric washboard.
That's so neat.
With piezo pickup in it, so ran with a quarter inch, so right to the soundboard or an amp. I'd use pedals sometimes. I had in one of them. It was like a 90-year-old washboard that I converted into an electric, and then I had another one. It was an old wasn't a Dogtown. I can't even remember what kind of a skateboard it was. It was worth a ton of money, but I'm like, I'm going to turn it into a washboard. So I took apart this antique washboard too that was worth a ton of money, combined the two, ran a piezo pickup through it, even used old risers and stuff to hold the jack for the pickup, and then I gutted an old Magnavox boombox and turned it into a portable amp, so I'd be playing a skateboard through an amplifier. It was absolutely just
that
stupid.
rules. And
it was so stupid. I loved it.
My heart is so happy right now.
I was Flavor Flav without the talent or the clock. Basically, I was the mascot, but I loved it.
But you know what? Look how many bands have that. You know what I mean? Kill Lincoln. Is a perfect example. Or, if you want to go back, the step further, right? Oh my gosh, now my brain's going to stop. This is so bad. Yeah, the Boston's. Thank you. Mighty Boston's. That's literally, knock on wood, was in my head when I was hurting my head right there. Yeah, absolutely. And there are just as much, I know that both of them have talked about they are just as much as a member as anybody else.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I'm basically doing that, but I'm singing too. So that's, I get it.
Everybody needs a hype, man.
Well, here's the thing. We have been tainted for years when you go see a show to put your hands in your hoodie or, the pocket of your hoodie and you don't move. And it's like, no, like that. Why are you coming to the show then? Like, you might as well just stay home, listen to her song. Listen, now somebody out there right now is very offended by what I just said. So I want to clarify. If I'm going to warn you, I'm just warning you. If you're going to see The Boy Detective in the near future, I suggest that you do something different that you've never done before and be a part of it. That's all. Give it one try. Give it one try. If you still hate it, cool. If you fall in love with it, which you probably will, you'll thank me later. So, Lee, if you get some thank you, send them my way.
I just got to tell you, if me and my wife will go to look at a show, it will be like, there better be seats or I'm not going. So when you come up this way in November, man, if there ain't seats, I ain't coming. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Well, here's the deal, though, Lee. Because I'm not on the stage, you can sit on my spot. You can just sit up there and enjoy the show. You could Indian style on stage and just watch the chaos.
My back will go out. I'll be carried out on a stretcher.
We'll give you a nice pork pie seat with the back. There you go.
There we go.
Hey, you know what? I'll be the first to say this, and I did this the other day. Like, I went and seen the Less Than Jake, Suicide Machines, Fishbone, and at that time it was Bite Me Bambi was the opener. And I stayed out of the pit for one time with my wife. And it was kind of nice. It was kind of a nice experience to be able to hear everything and not just be like head, foot, back thing going on. But, I don't know. I still think if 9 out of 10 times I'd be in the pit. There's something about it. There's something about getting sweated on and spat on and hit and like stage divers falling on you. It's part of the culture that is part of the music that we love, Lee. It really is. Like, it's just as much important. And honestly, Lee, for one time, it's nice that chaos actually makes sense.
Yeah.
In the life that we're living right now, in the landscape that we live in, like, it's nice to be able to forget about all that and come together as a community that loves music. And so this is going way off your questions, Lee. So I know you're probably, your head is catalog is like, I had 6 questions. He's not even going to answer one of them.
That's okay. You should see some of the other ones. This is not chaos at all.
No, because so I have a podcast too called Let's Talk About Death. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning. If you want to add it to the credits, that'd be super cool. But we talk about death. It's me and my twin, and we bring humor in because for most people, when they talk about death, they're very stuffy. They're very like educational. And the problem is like I just said, if you are talking monotone for 25, 30 minutes without any energy, without any really showmanship, a lot of people are just going to back out because like they want to be entertained. So Lee, let's go back to this too. Networking is also how you present yourself on stage.
Oh yeah. Because
I have had so many conversations, and this is not even with music engineers, producers, managers, the house managers, anything like that. This is just fans. Your fans are your best network out there. Literally. I don't care who you know that's in the music world. I would rather have 20 of my Michigan ska people than any number one artist. Because the thing about those 20, first of all, they are fighting the fight for you. They are doing all of the street team work that Lee, I was so impressed by Punkerton having a street team because I was talking about that when we first started, is this idea that like, I remember coming out of shows and there was always like 4 or 6 people trying to sell you on one band because they were the street team. Like they cared so much about that band. They would go to other shows. And yes, it was somewhat annoying at times, but also they'd give you like the demo CD. And there were so many demo CDs that were great that I learned about a band. So like I never had a fan base that was so loving, that is so, they will go to war for you. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I had that around here in Detroit. And so everybody who is a part of the Michigan Ska, who is a part of this whole cuddle puddle thing that started, like, please, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I would not be on this podcast talking about this if you weren't there. So that's the other thing too. When you're networking, don't forget to always network with the people who mean the most to you, which is your fans. It doesn't matter how big you are. Your fans are what makes you who you are. And I think that goes back to why our shows are so chaotic. Because these people are paying money that they don't have to come out to see a show, which time they don't have, to literally see the Boy Detective play 80% of the same songs every time. But they know what's going to happen. They know what they're in for, and they know that they're going to actually get a performance. No offense to musicians that just stand there and play their instruments and sing, because some of them are amazing, and I don't want to take away from that, because I understand if you're moving all the time that it's really hard to have placement for your hands and what drums. I get it, 100%. But I've always been that performer where I think if people are coming to see you, A, they want to be entertained, and B, I want to make them feel as much as a part of the show as the actual show is. That's how I network. That's why what the Boy Detective is because everybody who comes to that show is part of that show, whether they like it or not.
That's awesome. All right. Well, it's about time to wrap up here. So I got a question for you. What do you got coming up?
Oh, Lee, what a time. What a time. So
it's almost like we planned it this way.
Oh, it's weird. It's weird that way. Well, first of all, can I thank some quick folks out there real quick?
Absolutely.
So I really first of all want to thank my band and thank the fans and thank everybody who's been supportive of our families, et cetera, et cetera. But I really want to put a special thank you out there to Brandon in Punkerton, specifically Brandon. He has really he's earned his money and his time for us this year. So thank you, Brandon. I know you'll be listening to this sometime. Lee, I want to thank you because you're also helping a lot on the label, and Dane too. Dane's the other hidden secret gem of the Punkerton team. But yeah, so we got some really cool things going on. So at this point, maybe or maybe not, Beth Trust has come out, so that's really cool. We're really excited about that. That actually comes out on August 15th. But what I'm really excited to promote here, Lee, is on September 12th. The next single comes out from Disco Lunch, which if you haven't, please go to punkertonrecords.com and pre-order yourself a beautiful artistic album called Disco Lunch. It is going to be one of the most prolific albums of the year. I will say that. I'm very proud of it. My band put a lot of time into it, and I think Brandon was actually very, very pleased with this time. So, just kidding, Brandon. He always likes our music. But so, Goodyear comes out on September 12th. It's going to be a really good one, Lee. And I was on a podcast for Beth Truss, and I was telling this, like, it's so hard to have a single called Goodyear when it's been the worst year, literally, in the market. So what I say is when the song was wrote, it was coming from a place of it has been a really incredible year for the Boy Detective and for our fans and for the ska punk scene. And I will say that all I can say about this garbage that's going on, we can only have hope and we can spread love because that's really the best way to go. So anyways, Goodyear comes out on September 12th. And then in October 10th, the new anthem, American Farts, will be coming out. So be ready for that. And then the album will drop sometime in November. So we're really, really, really excited about that. But like I said, if you could do us a favor, go to punkertonrecords.com and you can actually pre-order. There's some really cool color vinyls. And then also we have a picture vinyl disc. So, and our artist did a wonderful job.
The variants are just fantastic. And I got to say, like, he's underselling, like, 'cause I've heard all the singles. I'm lucky. Ha ha ha. But, like, I mean, he's underselling it. They are absolutely fantastic. Am I biased? Probably 100%, but it doesn't make me wrong. Okay? I can be biased and not be wrong. You gotta. Oh, people are gonna love it. It's so good. It's so good.
Lee, I was so excited for Exhibition. And by the way, if you want to, you can also get an amazing record, Exhibition, which is the coolest thing that Punkerton allowed us to do is put 2 EPs on one album. And strangely enough, it works, and it's really good. And it's just so funny that we named our second one Art Theft. So side A is Art Theft, and B is Band from the Bathtub, B for Band. Like, it was wild how it all worked out. But literally go there, and even if you don't pick it up right away, like, keep an eye out, because I'm telling you right now, Brandon has surrounded the Punkerton team with some amazing talent right now. And some of these albums are just to die for. Really, to be honest, like, I have told Brandon, and you can call me a homer, you can call me whatever you want, but it's true. Listen to some of these albums. Like, we are so lucky to be on a label like this that is coming out with some of the greatest punk that I've heard in a very, very long time. And if you don't believe me, just go listen to them. Like, literally, like, feel free to write me what you think of some of these albums. They're incredible. Like, Brandon is doing his homework. He definitely is. So thank you, Punkerton. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Dane. Thank you, Michigan Ska. And thank you, all of our ska fans that are from other places that shock me still to this day that you care for this Michigan band.
All right. Well, Benny, thank you so much, and I appreciate you coming on. I know how busy your schedule is, so being able to make the time for me, I appreciate it to the bottom of my heart. You're a great guy. You're a great guest, and I'm really glad that you're able to come on. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Please remember, like, share, subscribe. Give me some feedback. Get some comments. I want to know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And as always, please have fun, because if you're not having fun, what's the point? We'll see you later.